What if you could earn free crypto on every single purchase you ever made for the rest of your life? What if you could use a single app to manage your crypto, your NFTs, and now your credit cards? Well, we've got all of these announcements plus a whole lot more. It's a special edition of Money Talks coming at you live from Consensus 2022 in Austin, Texas. All right, let's do this. Okay, thanks for joining. Before we get started, a quick note, reminder as always, this content is for informational purposes only. None of the information provided contains or is intended as legal or investment advice with regards to any of the topics we're discussing, including, but of course, especially digital assets. Okay, so with that out of the way, we are here in Austin at Consensus 2022, one of the largest and most influential crypto gatherings in the world, over 17,000 people. There have been some really important announcements here at the show. Of course, the announcement everyone wants to talk about, the most important announcement, is our announcement with American Express that we're going to launch a new Abra crypto card. I was able to share the announcement with the crowd here at Consensus yesterday on the main stage. And for those of you at home, here's how it works. Abra's first crypto card, called the Abra crypto card, is going to run on the American Express network. We've had a long-standing partnership with American Express. They were one of the first investors in Abra. And we're super excited that our teams have been working together for many months, and now we get to bring this to you. It's going to be super awesome. Basically, you transact just like any other credit card in US dollars on the American Express network. In other words, anywhere American Express is accepted, which is pretty much anywhere now. And you'll get cryptocurrency rewards on every single purchase category in any amount, along with a whole bunch of other cool benefits. Cardholders will be able to use the Abra crypto card to earn crypto back on any purchase category in any amount. The crypto rewards will be tradable across over 100 different cryptos supported by Abra with no annual or foreign transaction fees. In addition, the card will offer several benefits from the Amex network, including Amex offers, which I love. I don't know if you are an existing Amex card holder, but I use their shopping, travel, dining services, entertainment services, all of which will be available to you with the Abra crypto card. You'll have pre-sale ticket access for concerts, for music events, global dining benefits, as well as standard fraud and purchase protections that come along with being an American Express card holder. So to get the credit card, you can scan the QR code right here on the screen. You'll be taken to our waitlist page, which will also show you a bunch more details regarding how the card works. Okay, so there's more. So I'm really excited about this next announcement. This has been a couple of years in the works. It's something that I've wanted for a long time in Abra. Soon with Abra, you will have a simple, secure, and actually even less expensive way to buy and sell NFTs. So most DeFi wallets today, maybe you use MetaMask or one of their competitive products. Most of these DeFi wallets use that facilitate NFT and other crypto transactions. They're very cumbersome to use. I call it having a PhD in key management, whatever the hell that means. They incur very heavy gas fees to on-ramp funds. They're more prone to user errors, being hacked, et cetera, et cetera. Abra's new integrated NFT wallet feature will enable easy access to a whole variety of NFT marketplaces and will be designed to solve all of these problems while minimizing gas fees. It's fully integrated. So rather than funding DeFi wallets by moving between different app interfaces to buy and sell NFTs from a marketplace like OpenSea, Abra users would be able to save steps by using their existing funds in Abra to buy and sell NFTs without leaving the Abra app experience. So the new NFT feature is expected to be available in a few weeks. And we'll get into it during our Ask Abra Anything session as well. By the way, we've also published a brief update on our entire product roadmap, which we'll also get into during our live Ask Abra Anything session. All right, so we'll get into the card details. We've got a whole lot more to talk about. We'll talk about how this relates to CPRX. CPRX are obviously our rewards currency. Stick around. Natalie Brunell is up next with this week's in-depth Bitcoin analysis. And then Julian Hardy from the Crypto Banking Alliance will join us after that. But first, whether you're just starting your crypto journey or building your portfolio, getting funds into Abra could not be easier. Here's all the ways you can add money to your Abra account.
Funding your Abra account is easy. Just open the app, then tap Add Money. To buy with your Visa or MasterCard, tap the app. Click Bitcoin through Simplex. Open in your web browser. Enter the amount, then paste your Abra wallet address and tap Continue. To transfer money from your bank account, tap on ACH Transfer, add a new bank account, Continue. Then select your bank. Enter your username and password. Confirm your identity with a code. Select account, enter an amount, and confirm. For a wire transfer, tap Bank Wire Transfer. Then tap Wire Instructions. Log on to your bank's online banking page, then initiate a wire transfer. Follow the instructions on the Abra app to input your account, then send your wire. Transferring crypto is simple. Tap Deposit Cryptocurrency, then select the coin you're transferring. The Abra app gives you the receive address to send your funds to. Funding is easy with Abra.
Okay, welcome back. Our amazing Bitcoin analyst, Natalie Brunell, is back feeling better than ever and fully recovered from her 3 days at Consensus. How you doing, Natalie?
Hi, Bill. It's so good to see you. I wish we had a chance to see each other in Austin. I hope you've been having fun. Congratulations on your announcement.
That's been awesome. Thank you. Let's get into Bitcoin. What's going on?
Yeah, Consensus has been amazing, by the way. A lot of amazing Bitcoiners there. I had the chance to be on a panel talking about record low fees on the Bitcoin network. I don't know if many of you know, but right now, despite the volatility and despite still a high price, we actually have record low fees on the Bitcoin network. And if you guys are interested in learning more about that, there's a great report that was published by Alex Thorne from Galaxy Digital, who was on my panel. But really interesting why fees are low. They have to do with block space, SegWit, the Lightning Network, and of course, the macro picture at large. So I hope people check that out. But what's Bitcoin's price? It's hovering still in that $29,000, $30,000 range. The high for the week, I believe, was Monday night, was $31,500. So Bitcoin seems to really like this range. Still a great accumulation area for people who are DCAing. And there's lots of news that's happened. Senator Lummis is actually in Austin, and you probably heard a really big announcement from her and Senator Kristen Gillibrand from New York. So it's bipartisan. They introduced legislation on Tuesday that's essentially a bill that is going to be the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, and it tackles cryptocurrencies. It basically puts Bitcoin and Ethereum on top. They actually called both commodities, which I was surprised by, although ETH is traded in the commodities futures market. But the bill is trying to clarify whether and when digital assets should be regulated by the SEC. And both of the senators came out and said that most altcoins will be securities. So the bill introduces the concept of an ancillary asset. Which describes essentially a crypto token, for instance, that's sold alongside an investment-like opportunity that helps to finance a crypto project. And the token itself could be presumed to be a commodity, while the investment contract remains a security. So it's kind of confusing, but they're basically trying to regulate this growing digital asset landscape. And as I mentioned before, most altcoins will be deemed securities. Lummis said to Yahoo Finance, quote, "We're going to see the number of cryptocurrencies that are regulated by the SEC be very large, but in terms of market cap, probably more of these cryptocurrencies will be regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, simply because Bitcoin and Ethereum make up 65% of the market cap." And Gillibrand said that this is going to go through 4 committees, SEC portions, agriculture for CFTC portions, finance, and most likely Intel. And I reacted pretty calmly to this news, although a lot of people were upset that Lummis said that Ethereum and Bitcoin are kind of up in the same category. But I think that a lot of people recognize also that Ethereum has been very popular with the crypto space at large. So how about we talk about latest inflation numbers? They beat expectations as normal. Inflation in May reached 8.6%, which is the highest level since December 1981. So it's still surging, even though they've basically been bleeding the markets out, bleeding equities. And it's mostly due to surging energy and food prices. And if you guys follow Charlie Bolello online, he always posts, he breaks down the increases in different categories of inflation. Fuel oil has gone up 106%, gasoline 48%, gas utilities 30%, used cars 16%, electricity 12%, food at home 11%. Overall CPI 8.6 doesn't really capture all of that. And of course, Bitcoin is still down. But when you think about just the macro picture at large, and you do believe that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge, it's a really good time again to accumulate. So we'll see if they can still tackle inflation or if they'll need to print if something cracks in the system, which a lot of macro strategists are predicting. Also, during Consensus, Jack Dorsey announced Web 5. We're going to skip over Web 3 and go right to Web 5. Of course, he's the former Twitter CEO. He's the CEO of Block, which is formerly Square. And he basically had a beef with Web 3 this entire time. It hasn't been a secret. He believes that Web 3 promises this censorship resistant and privacy focused future, but he thinks it's just as problematic as Web 2. So he wants to basically prevent Web 5 from being taken over by venture capitalists and allow it to be truly decentralized. He wants to do away with anything that stopped Web 3 from being decentralized. And this offshoot company TBD that sort of helped make this announcement that he runs, it said, quote, "Identity and personal data have become the property of third parties. Web 5 brings decentralized identity and data storage to individuals' applications. It lets developers focus on creating delightful user experiences while returning ownership of data and identity to individuals." And I know we talked about that idea of who owns your identity when we had Justin Zavrani on this show. So really, really interesting. But Dorsey also promises no utility tokens or consensus models. Instead, he just wants to rely on a decentralized web using blockchain technology. Those are, I think, the two biggest stories, but a couple other headlines I've been following. Also at Consensus, Pennsylvania Republican Senator Pat Toomey, who a lot of Bitcoiners know, he announced in Austin that the country could have a new federal law on stable coins by the end of this year. So we're going to see regulation coming down on altcoins as potentially securities, but also stable coins. He said, "I'm going to go out on a limb and say we get stable coins done this year." And the audience applauded to this. So apparently everyone's excited about regulation. So as for that ETF that launched in Australia, the Bitcoin ETF, apparently there's not a lot of interest in trading it. Over in Canada, 13% of surveyed Canadians said that they own Bitcoin. That's up 5% from 2020. Gold is performing pretty well. Bitcoin has had a 35% loss this year. Gold is up 2%, which shouldn't be, again, really super surprising due to the macro picture. Peter Schiff had a really funny tweet saying, that Bitcoin's just faster, but it's going down faster than gold. But, we're big believers. This is digital gold. So, and then nearly a third of hedge funds, 29%, said that they have not yet invested in digital assets, but they are looking to invest or are in late stage planning for investments. And I think that's very bullish as well. And then a new law in Russia is seeking to ban crypto payments again, and there's going to be a debate this week, so we'll be watching all of that. But lots of news coming out, lots of it coming out from Consensus. Again, I know lots of companies like yours making their push to get further and further, deeper and deeper into this ecosystem. So, Bill, I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome, thanks, Natalie. Great update as always. Look forward to getting to see you in person and doing Money Talks in person real soon. But awesome update. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, folks, get ready. Up next, we've got Julian Hardy from the Crypto Banking Alliance, who's here to break down what's happening with CPRX. We've got a lot of announcements to follow up on. We'll be talking about CPRX and American Express. We'll be talking about trading. But first, why sit on your crypto when you can put it to work? Abra Earn makes it easy to earn interest on the money you hold in your Abra account. Here's how. Okay, it is my pleasure to reintroduce to all of you Julian Hardy, co-founder and managing director of the Crypto Banking Alliance. As you probably know, the Crypto Banking Alliance created CPRX, the utility and rewards token we use for Abra perks. Hey, Julian, welcome back.
Great to be here, Bill, at Consensus 2022, and super excited about yesterday's announcement live on stage. Obviously, this just pushes the boundary in terms of what CPRX is doing and what it's capable of. We always said that this is one of the things that we wanted to do, and I think it's important to draw people back to the original white paper on CPRX. But bringing in a major global brand like American Express and uniting it with Abra and also a crypto token is just a phenomenal achievement. And it's something we always said we wanted to do. We wanted to bring the offline legacy payment brands together with, with crypto and digital banking. And that's what the Crypto Banking Alliance was created to do, and that's what we hope to achieve with CryptoPerks. So, CryptoPerks, it's a long-term program, and again, I'd remind people about that this has taken 2 years to get to where we are today. We have a big vision for CPRX. We've got a 5-year roadmap, and things do move around. Things tend to be fluid in this market. But I think we are delivering on our goals, and we're delivering on the objectives and the roadmap. And I ask people to be patient, and I ask people to stick with us. We have a lot of technical resource across both companies who are working on all the features that we said we're going to release. Some of them are more complex than others, but this is a rewards token, and it's feature rich. And for us to ensure that it delivers the right levels of utility to users, then it's going to take some time to build all these out. But I think that the new things that you're seeing inside of Abra are super exciting for CPRX, as we're able to make CPRX fully integrated into those features, providing more utility for Abra and CPRX holders. So, it's just a super exciting time. And I know that, it isn't easy. And for investors out there who may be a little bit worried about what's happening in the macro economy for crypto and wondering what this means for CPRX, I'd say, look, this is a huge endorsement of Abra, but also of CPRX, and having a global financial payments brand like American Express really backing Abra and CPRX really does set this token apart from all the other tokens that are out there right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And it was really interesting for me to in talking to the American Express team when we were, talking to press, prepping the press, even on stage yesterday here at Consensus, was that many of them are using Abra. They're holding CPRX. They are super bullish on it. They want the product themselves. They want to be able to earn crypto, CPRX in particular. They just are, as coming up through their kind of whole points mentality, right? They really get this idea of being able to take a legacy kind of database point system and move it into the crypto world, and they're genuinely excited about it, just for themselves as users, as much as for Abra and our customers. And that was particularly exciting for me to see. So what's your take on where we're at here in terms of, like, the questions that we're getting are, is CPRX going to be listed everywhere? And, should I be holding my CPRX? Should I be trading CPRX? I mean, obviously none of us have a crystal ball. We don't control the exchanges, but what's your take?
Yeah. So look, we've been live on a couple of different exchanges to date, on FMFW and on Bittrex. Some people are trading it in Uniswap. The exchanges are a world to themselves. It's very difficult for us to have any influence on what they list and when they list. That being said, we are in protracted discussions with some of the major exchanges around there in the world.
Yep.
We've always said this is about getting CPRX on the right exchanges at the right time, but most important is liquidity. And so, I can tell you that those discussions, which are ongoing, are heavily centered around what's the right time to list, with what features, what are we going to use to differentiate the token when it's presented alongside other tokens, and most importantly, what do we do in terms of liquidity pool? So you will see CPRX make moves onto other exchanges. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but it will happen in short order. And again, what I'd say to people is be patient. Now is a great time to accumulate. Those people who are able to hold the tokens and realize the value as new features get released inside Abra, and particularly now with the Amex program, will benefit longer term.
Yeah, I think this American Express program is just such a breakthrough. I've never seen a real major, it's a Fortune 100 company basically committing to a crypto project in a way that no other bank or Fortune 100 company has. I think it's awesome. So we've created this, it's kind of grew out organically on its own, but there's this hashtag out there now, CPRX Army. And, we're politely encouraging everybody to respond on Twitter to my fellow peers and CEOs in the exchange world, to politely remind them, and again, we don't want to be rude or we don't want to be spamming people, but please politely remind them, hey, you should be considering CPRX for listing. It's something that we all support, and we think it is the most interesting rewards currency token project that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And we want you all as members of the CPRX Army and Abra Perks users to get the word out that they should support these listings right away. And we'll have more to say on Abra's plans for trading in a few minutes when we bring on Deepak. But yeah, we hope that you all will get the word out and remind them that, hey, they're probably going to get the Amex card themselves. I think all these execs that are actually using American Express cards are going to say, well, wait a minute, if I can use an American Express card and get crypto, I'm going to go use Abra, and then they're going to figure it out, and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, my exchange isn't trading CPRX. So I think we're going to get a big benefit from people in the space working in crypto who are going to want to use this card based in the US, at least to start.
Yeah. Well, I know that when I landed on a couple of stands and some of the meetings I had booked yesterday post the announcement, certainly people were hugely surprised, incredibly impressed, but it definitely made the conversations a lot more lively. So yeah, people are going to sit up and notice CPRX post this announcement. It's really put this token on the map.
Yeah, and look, we were talking about it with Forbes, with TechCrunch, Bloomberg yesterday. It was amazing the coverage that American Express and CPRX integrated as an announcement got, and so super exciting about that. So
and great to see Amex also mentioning it themselves in their own releases, right? So Amex is talking about this all the time now, and they're talking about Abra, they're talking about CPRX, and as you say, all of the American Express executive team that were here yesterday were all super excited and all telling us about their own personal investments into CPRX. They're all committed holders.
Yep. Yeah, that's great to hear. So what else should we know? We talked about exchange listings. We talked about Abra supports. We talked about macro. Obviously, it was interesting. Obviously, everything's down right now, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But the whole market is just basically just in the doldrums. I was looking at Ethereum a few minutes ago, and it's down like another 9% over the last 24 hours. It's kind of at that bottom of the sideways channel that I talked about before. So if it really gets below 1,500, it could really puke. And again, for those of us who think the next run up is going to be the same 10, 15x, Whether it does it from 1,300 or 1,700 or 2,000 doesn't really matter much, although I prefer 2,000. But I mean, CPRX on the other hand, I'm looking at the chart right now. It actually was up at 1.60% yesterday on the news, which again, we don't really go day to day to pump prices here. That's not what we do. But I thought it was pretty interesting that actually right now CPRX is trading at the late February prices, which actually puts it way above other coins in terms of performance for the year. Now, that's not really something that we should all basically be doing cartwheels about, given the broader performance of the crypto space. But it does show that a lot of you are really bullish on this, supporting it. And, we do thank you very, very much for that. So, we'll have more to say on trading. I don't know, any other thoughts on where this is going?
So look, we had significant trading volumes yesterday post the announcement, and I think day to day we still see a reasonable amount of activity, even on some of the lowest days. But again, it all comes back to liquidity pools, and right now we just don't have the right kind of liquidity circulating around the exchanges. So it's the main driver for us on getting this onto the top tier exchanges, particularly targeting the top three, making sure those liquidity pools are there so that people who want to buy. I get a lot of questions every day from people asking, where can I buy CPRX today? You can buy them inside Abra on the app. You can transfer funds into Abra. You can use existing cryptocurrency to buy CPRX inside Abra. You can buy on Bittrex. You can buy on FMFW. We would encourage you to do so. Today's price is a fantastic opportunity for accumulation, and we have a strong long-term target for CPRX pricing for this year. We're not going to give any forecast on it, but just to see that with all of the new features and the increased potential for the addressable market and user base with Amex can only drive the price in one direction.
Yeah. So look, I look at it this way. I think, think about Amex points, right? And everybody here has got an Amex card as an American, or, maybe some other rewards card if you're living outside the US. The Amex point programs have been around, I think, since the 80s, right? And so we're talking about decades, and we're trying to effectively recreate that, right, as a utility token in a crypto world for the first time. No one's ever done it before. And where not only is it's not Abra's token, it's everyone's token, right? We don't own it. We didn't create it. So that changes the entire perspective on how reward should work. And we were only into it for less than 2 years versus decades. And so given that the thing is worth a few $100 million in the aggregate, if you look at the float for a rewards token that didn't exist, over 1 million people have touched it over the last 8 months. We'll get into that with Deepak, but it's phenomenal, right? And so I really think that being able to earn CPRX with American Express, being able to, we'll talk about our NFT announcement, our trading announcements. I really think this thing's got an amazing future. And honestly, some of the other partnership discussions beyond the exchanges that we've been talking about, which I hope we can, be more public about in the future, that may end up using CPRX as well is super exciting to me. So yeah, so we'll see where this all goes, but I'm pretty bullish.
Yeah, and I'd say that's a major differentiator, right? So people said after yesterday's announcement, well, there are other crypto cards out there. Yes, there are other crypto cards out there, but there is no other crypto card that's backed by a major financial institution like American Express or partnered with, but also has an independent rewards program that is not driven by the card holder themselves, right? And this is a major differentiator. So as we bring in other partners into the ecosystem as well, then you'll just see the list of features around this ever increase.
Awesome. Can you stick around for our Ask Abra Anything session? All right, right on. So thanks for that, Julian. Stick around. So up next, we're going to have Deepak from our product team join us to help answer all of your questions live. And before we get there, we've made Abra one of the easiest ways by far the easiest way, in my opinion, to trade crypto. It's a safe, secure, simple way to make trades. Take a look.
Trading on Abra is easy. Just click the exchange button. Tap the source you'd like to trade. Tap on what you'd like to trade it for. Type in the amount. Then click trade. Tap, type, trade. Totally easy on Abra.
All right, welcome back. So we're going to bring back Julian, and we're also going to be joined by Deepak Ghosh, VP of Product for Abra, known to most of you who have seen him on Money Talks several times. Welcome back, Deepak. How you doing? Oh, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. I was on mute, but thank you for having me. How's it going?
Cool. All right, man. So good to see you. We've been having a fun time here in Austin. Wish you were here. So one of the things I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I'm gonna. We've got a whole bunch of announcements that we made, kind of in the form of a big product roadmap update. And if you go to our webpage and our blog, just go to abra.blog actually, and you'll see an update. And one of the first updates, of course, was the Abra crypto card. Why don't you give us your take on the card, and then we'll talk about NFTs.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The team here caught the live stream yesterday, and yeah, we got goosebumps. I mean, we were working on this for a very long time, as you obviously know, Bill. And I was just, every Money Talk appearance I'd made, I was just itching to talk about it. But now we finally can talk about it. It was amazing. I mean, this was very, very hard work for Abra is still a very small company. We're a small team, very, very dedicated, very lean. And so it was a lot of hard work working with the likes of Amex and other vendors. Like Amex is the big, one of the biggest names out there, so it's easily known. But there are a lot of other vendors that we're working with to get this experience right and in the hands of our users. And so we're very excited. Obviously, this is a breakthrough, right? There's this, as you guys have pointed out in this show before I came on, there was nothing like it prior to this. And this is going to change the game quite a bit. So very, very excited here.
Yeah, apparently the dog agrees. So, and as you can see, there's a waitlist page here that you can join, crypto-card-waitlist on abra.com, and you can join right now and you can see more details. So look, I've been asking for this, you guys know, forever, and so many people, it's got to be in the top 2 asks, basically, for Abra. Now, speaking of top 2 asks, all right, so we will get into more details on the card in a few minutes, but I got to talk about this one. All right, so NFTs. So this is something that we've literally been talking about for a couple of years. That's right, Doggy. We've been talking about NFTs for a couple of years. So tell us what's happening with Abra and NFTs now. Yeah,
I mean, exactly what you had mentioned prior to me coming on the show. We're just making NFTs simple. I mean, that's no other way to put it. If anyone in our audience today has ever bought NFT using MetaMask or any of the other wallets out there, it's very challenging. A lot of people don't end up doing it because they have no idea how to do it, but they do want to own it. And NFT is a cultural shift. So we all get that, but the barrier to entry is very high. So with something like Abra, with the experience that we've been able to create here, it is as if you were paying for anything using your PayPal or Apple checkout, like Apple Pay. It's that simple. You don't need to know what MetaMask is. You don't need to know what keys are. You don't need to know what signing transactions is. It's just as simple as taking your Abra wallet on your phone and paying out for your NFT exactly as you would use your Apple Pay or PayPal to pay for anything. And so we've brought that simplicity. What that does is not just makes things easy for our users. They are very confident. The whole idea is to instill confidence, not just to make things easy. They're not going to be phished. They're not going to be scammed. They're not interacting with a website that is just posing to be a certain website, which really isn't. This is designed to steal money from you. None of that stuff exists. And so this is what the world needs to make NFT a mainstream use case. And so that's the first step that I know of that we made it.
Yeah. Now, eventually, we will charge. I assume we're going to charge for this. I think is the prevailing wisdom, and we haven't made a final decision yet. But we will make all of the Abra NFT services free, at least out of the gate. That's the plan.
That's right.
But one of the things we're considering is as we turn on, the fees, because this is an amazing value add. I mean, if you've ever had to pay large gas fees and know how frustrating it is, and as a matter of fact, if you're dealing with a lot of small dollar NFTs on the Ethereum network, often they just don't work, because you're paying more in gas fees than the NFT itself is worth, at least on the marketplace. And so anyway, one of the things we're considering is how to, maybe even to use CPRX for NFT payments. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, to drive home that point just really quick, this service, this experience is going to look very easy for the users of that experience, but none of the complexity that you face if you were to do this all by yourself, none of that complexity is gone. It's just that it's hidden from you, and Abra is doing the work on the back end. So all of that complexity still exists, which is a good thing. That's how decentralized web works. But Abra is abstracting out all of that stuff from you, and we are doing the hard work behind the scenes. So that's the real value here. And so anyway, yeah. So we mentioned plenty of times on the show before. Abra, considers crypto perks their utility token. It is the utility token. It's, just as a point is as important to an Amex or a Hilton, or miles is important to an airline company, it's the same thing. So every product that we work on, every product that we think about getting to market, CPRX is at the core of it. That's it. There's a strategy for CPRX for everything that we do. And it's the same for the Abra credit card. And if you really think about it, just based on this idea that Bill mentioned, you mentioned, Bill, on the show before, is that, what is a utility token? It's just basically a mile or a point that is sitting in a proprietary database, and you put that into the blockchain and you get a utility token. That's exactly what this is. And so, it's not hard to see how CPRX is going to bring utility to the credit card use case. But that said, though, this is going to support not just CPRX. CPRX is going to be one of the tokens that it'll support, but it's basically going to be supporting every single token that we support here at Abra. There's 130 plus tokens. So that's that's basically how I look at CPRX, is that that's our core utility token, and that's going to be weaved into any product that we launch.
And so on, just one more point on that. Awesome. One more point on the NFT discussion. So we were obviously talking about Ethereum. Are we looking at multiple chains so that we're doing NFTs on different blockchains eventually as well?
Eventually, yes, because the way we are building the service out, the architecture is indifferent to chains, and indifferent to the gas fees and what currency we're paying out the gas fees to. That's how we're building out the architecture. So eventually, absolutely, yes, we want to be really an aggregator, right? We want to be the aggregator of the space. You can go into super rare, you can go into Rarible, go into OpenSea, and our service will just work. And that's the goal here. So eventually, you're absolutely right. It'll be chain indifferent.
All right. So that's NFTs, and please, ask any questions you want, gang, on the live stream, and you can see more details on the page. So the next service that we talked about in the update was Abra Prime, and we're getting more and more of our private clients and even institutions joining us here on Money Talk. So I think they're going to be really excited about this one. And I know the Abra sales team out there watching is going to be very excited. So fill us in on what does Abra Prime mean? Many consumers may not even be familiar with the term, but obviously our institutional clients here are going to be not only excited, they're going to know what we're talking about. But explain what Abra Prime means and what it means for Abra.
Yeah. So Abra Prime is everything that Abra does today, but for private clients and institutions. And so what that means is, institutions typically require deeper access to liquidity. They require the flexibility to place larger orders with minimal spreads and so on and so forth. They require tax efficient vehicles to do their investments in. So they need sort of access to custom bespoke products. They need, like I said, access to deeper liquidity, and timing is everything for them. And so everything that Abra does, the Abra Prime basically takes all of that stuff and makes it very, very friendly for our institutions, essentially. So just to be super clear, we do that today. We have, it's a growing business unit, and it's probably the fastest growing business unit here at Abra, which is basically catering to private clients and institutions through Abra Prime. What though we are announcing with this blog post is that, and again, this is also something that we've been working on for months now at this point, is our business has been booming so greatly when it comes to private client institutions in the Abra Prime space that there's just not enough people for us to service the demand. And we're saying no to most demand that we're looking at. And so what this means to us is we need to productize it. We need to create an experience where businesses and private clients can sort of come in and self-onboard, self-manage their account, self-trade, lend, whatever it is that they want to do on Abra's platform. We need to be able to create an experience that scales because humans just don't scale fast enough. And that's where we find ourselves right now, is that the business is doing great, but we just don't have enough people to serve. So that's what we're announcing through this post, is this is going to be an experience, a web experience that we're going to be launching later this year, where businesses are able to self-serve and do business with Abra.
Yeah, it's fascinating. One of the things we don't talk about much publicly is we've got this treasury management business where companies are depositing their cash into Abra as stablecoins and earning yield on their treasury. The same yield that our clients earn on Abra Earn, and it's become a fast-growing part of our business. So super excited about where Abra Prime is going. I know the Abra team watching right now is probably cheering because I know that they've been waiting for this, and they've seen the growth, and the close to 200 employees now at Abra and growing. A lot of them are heavily focused on Abra Prime. So, okay, so let's talk about DeFi and Abra Earn. So I know we've got another not small announcement, but a pretty important announcement coming up as it relates to DeFi and staking. So tell us about that and how it relates to Abra Earn.
Yeah. So with DeFi, essentially exactly what the blog post says is that the architecture that we're building essentially solves for DeFi. NFT is a very visible sort of cultural use case for DeFi. But the architecture that we're building is all about simplifying DeFi. NFT just happens to be the first use case. So you can imagine if you've ever participated or given liquidity into liquidity pools on any of the DeFi protocols, or you've executed any sort of strategies in DeFi using your MetaMask or whatever other wallet that you might use, it's tough. It's very hard. I mean, it's harder than NFT. It's harder than paying for things. And so with this, we're going to be using the exact same architecture that we've built for NFT to make participating in liquidity pools as easy as today you put an asset into Abra Earn and you earn yield out of it. It's going to be that easy. You don't need to know what signing transactions is. You need to know what chain you're on. You don't need to bridge any assets from one chain to the other. None of that complexity you will see. It will be as easy as transferring your assets from trade to earn that you do today. But in fact, on the back end of it, you will be participating in liquidity pools. You'll be participating in strategies and so on and so forth. So again, it's going to be a major, major shift. I have not seen a service that does anything similar to what we will be launching very soon this year.
Yep. Totally agree. I'm super excited about it. I think there's a lot of new capabilities that this is going to enable for us that people are really going to want to use, and that's obviously the most important thing. And so I think one of the things coming up is going to be Ethereum staking, 2.0 staking.
That's right. Yeah. In about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to launch Stake E 2.0. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm obviously going to be using it. I'm excited about it. and hopefully it's the first of many capabilities that come through on the DeFi side. So obviously we can see, Abra Web is coming as well. This is something we've talked about many times, the ability to trade and manage your Abra Earn account and even your NFTs on the web.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably the number one requested feature, I think, if not the number one, at least in the top two. But it's finally coming. So, we've been, if you look at what Abra has done so far, we've done it with only 2 apps on iOS and Android. If you look at a direct competitor, BlockFi, Celsius, Nexo, you pick any, they've had the web channel forever. This is a channel that is completely untapped for us. So that itself is a big deal for us. We are going to tap into a channel that we hadn't for forever now. And but in addition to that, what is really cool is that the team just didn't want to launch something on the web just for the sake of it, just to cover a channel. They actually went back and started from scratch, started from zero, really looking at what are the use cases, what is the best experience that we can create for our users, and just come up with an experience that there's a true breakthrough. And I think we've achieved that. And we're very excited and finally be able to talk about it. But I'm really looking forward to making this available to our users later this year, because I do know, I 100% know that you're going to love that experience. It is a step function improvement over where we are right now, and I think it's a lot. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but it is probably the best experience that I've used on the web, and so very excited about that.
Yep, awesome. I agree 100%. I think it's going to be. Look, we've got, I don't know, another million plus have joined just in the last few months, talking about Abra Perks and its impact on the overall Abra business. And I think that the number of additional users that this is going to open up is probably another order of magnitude for us. And
absolutely,
we're ready for it. So it's awesome. All right. So now this is what everybody wants to talk about. Obviously the last 2 points here. So we saved the best for last. So thanks everyone for your patience. And so the first is obviously Abra Trade. And then part and parcel of that is how Abra Perks will relate to everything we've been talking about. So let's start with Abra Trade. We have very specific goals, full stop, with Abra Trade, whether it's for a new release or a new product or whatever, and that's around spreads and other things that we want to optimize for our users. But give us a sense of where we're at right now with Abra Trade and where this is going over the next few months.
Yeah, very good question. So we've talked a lot about Abra Trade on this show before, and for people who've been keeping up with it, what we were trying to do so far is to just absolutely change the trading infrastructure that powers our trade experience today. And so the way it works today, that infrastructure was put into place, I guess, 2-3 years ago at this point. When we started looking at the use cases of advanced order types, like being able to place true market orders, price protected market, we've talked about price protected market orders quite a bit on the show before, limit orders and things of that nature, we got into a place where the existing infrastructure just wasn't cutting it. So the team had to go back and rethink the infrastructure right from the ground up. So we were very close to getting the advanced order types, trading order types out with entirely new trading infrastructure. But as the team were working on it, we found an opportunity to, and this is going back to what Julian was mentioning earlier in the show, the liquidity. It is no matter how sophisticated your trading infrastructure is, if it isn't hooked up to a good liquidity source, a good, a place where you can get a wide range of selection of assets, that's it. It doesn't work, even if you have the most advanced trading infrastructure. And so while the team was working on this infrastructure, we saw an opportunity to basically tap into additional liquidity, far deeper liquidity than we work with today, which basically directly translates into the lowest possible spread, the best pricing on assets for our users. And we understand that we've been at work on this use case for a bit, but when we looked at that opportunity and it just came up in front of us, we couldn't not take it. It was the right thing for us to do for our users. Again, just think about it: the deepest liquidity and the best rates, and also a wide selection of assets. I mean, Bill, I know you get this a lot. Basically, an asset starts gaining traction in the market, and immediately we start getting requests about, like, when are you going to list this asset or not? And so, that type of use case will be a thing of the past with this. So that's basically added a little bit more of a timeline to our initial plans. But what we get in the end is not just a very advanced trading infrastructure, truly the most advanced trading infrastructure that I know of within our direct competitor space, but at the same time, access to much, much deeper liquidity and prices. And so that's added a little bit to the timeline. You'll hear from us very, very soon about it. But in the end, I think this is the right thing to do. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. So this affects not only CPRX, but everything in Abra, right? So what we're saying is that Bitcoin liquidity, Ethereum liquidity, our ability to add other coins with more liquidity that we may not even be listing right now. I know Solana is at the top of my personal list. You're saying that we're going to have deeper liquidity, which translates into even lower spreads versus spot price, and better execution for everyone. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, CPRX is going to benefit from what we're working on, but it's not just about CPRX, it's about every single asset that Abra supports and doesn't support today, that we will be able to, because we've moved into this architecture. Gotcha. So let's talk about Abra perks, and maybe Julian even has a couple of questions for you. But where are you going? Where do you see us going with Abra perks now? And I know it's a work in progress, and we've made our announcement that we are working on 2.0. But what are you comfortable sharing now, and what do you think we're going to have to kind of wait on? Yeah. So Abra perks has been very, very successful. It's a unique problem that we're facing right now. We're not trying to solve for a problem where Abra perks wasn't as successful. We're trying to solve for a problem that we created for ourselves, because Abra perks was more successful than we had ever expected, which is a good problem to solve for. But back to the question though, the team has gone back to the drawing board to see what are the lessons that we learned from the initial launch. We've created tremendous value for our users, and that's very apparent. It's very easy to see. You can go on chain and you look at it. But we've created tremendous value for our users. But the team has gone back to the drawing board to figure out sort of two things, I would say. One, what are the mechanics of the program that makes it sustainable in the long term? So far what we've seen is we've given out so much rewards in such short span of time that it was getting hard for us to sustain it over the long term. And so that's one thread the team is working on, basically figuring out how can we keep the benefits that people love about Abra perks, but in a way that it's sustainable, self-sustainable in the longer term. And second is utility. It's all about utility. I keep saying this again and again, which is that CPRX, the utility token that's powering Abra perks, is the same to Abra as a mile is to an airline company and a point is to a hotel or a credit card company today, which is basically we need to figure out a utility plan for CPRX. So today, the utility for CPRX is when you get CPRX, you can either hodl it to earn more of it, or to exchange out of it to get something that is more useful to you. But we are working on an entire utility roadmap for CPRX. We can actually use CPRX for things like paying for your trading fees, and we've designed the mechanics in a way that if you pay things with CPRX for your fees, you will get deep discounts, right? And so paying fees, whether it's the DeFi use case, whether it's the paying for advanced order types use case, CPRX is going to be at the core of it, so that you can use CPRX in more ways than just one that what you're using today, which is either to hodl or to exchange out of it. And those are the two big work streams that the team is working on. But essentially, we're very excited. We've learned quite a bit. This is actually a good problem to solve for, because this has been way more successful than we had anticipated, as I said. And so we just need to figure out sort of the mechanics of the program that makes it self-sustaining over the long term, and a good, strong utility roadmap for CPRX.
And this is exactly what we outlined in our original white paper, right? When we talked about utility. And I think what Julian, what the CBA outlined in the actual CPRX, the crypto perks utility token original white paper, right? And I think both companies are kind of symbiotic and compatible in this regard, right? This was always about driving utility and not creating a new form of gold, but basically saying this is going to be those coins that you put in the slot machine to make something happen. And whether it's to buy NFTs or facilitate limit orders or other gaming functions that we've even been toying with internally, which I don't want to get into too much now, but it's tremendous the number of opportunities that we see, at least at Abra, for creating utility for CPRX.
That's right. Paying for interest on your credit card, getting cash back in CPRX or any other token. These are all the things that make the utility for CPRX that much stronger. And we're very excited. The more products we add to the portfolio, the more utility you get out of CPRX. And that's what the team is focused on.
Yep. Cool.
And I think from our side, having been briefed on the infrastructural changes, then I think we couldn't have imagined a better opportunity coming this early in the timeline of CPRX. And so, what I'd say to our user base is this is an incredible leapfrog in terms of the capacity on the network for CPRX, but also our ability to introduce new trading pairs, better liquidity pools, and just a huge increase in how we're able to develop CPRX going forward with these back-end changes. And so I would encourage everyone to be patient, hang tight, and wait until we release the new timeline around this.
Yeah. Looking through the live feed here, a lot of questions. Deepak, Julian, you've actually answered most of them, or I have, or actually Natalie have in a couple of cases as well. So I'm not going to repeat the questions that we've already answered. So great job to all of you. Let me just pick a couple at random here that we haven't answered. So there's this one reference, let me take this one head on, to CPRX being a security. And CPRX is not a security. And so we've all addressed this many times. And so there have been legal opinions on this. There was no token sale. There's no ownership in common enterprise here. Anything that would define something as a security. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, except to just correct people who were asking questions related to this being a security and how it relates to being a security. No Abra investors received CPRX in exchange for investing in Abra. Somebody else was asking about that. Again, not a security. It wasn't part of a security offering. And it's a non sequitur, the idea that any investors would have received CPRX. I have CPRX because I earned it in the Abra app, just like all of you. And I've also bought more. I went into the Abra app and I've continually been buying more CPRX because I believe in it. So my holdings, likewise. So my point is that there's no special privileges for Abra employees or investors, and that would in any way relate to security. A lot of bullish comments on Amex, not just as it relates to CPRX, but a lot of you who want to use the card, earn rewards. A couple of you have been saying, I'm Amex user. I'm really excited about this. Yes, you will have to have an Abra account to use the Abra crypto card. It's an Abra crypto card. It just happens to be on the Amex network, and you get all the benefits of being on the Amex network. And we built it in conjunction with them, but it is an Abra product, which is super, super cool. Okay, so a couple more questions here. Again, we have live support in the app. you are going to get an infinitely faster 24/7 answer if you go into the hamburger menu, top left of the app, click on support, and take advantage of the live support function. My grades as a support technician are diminishing, so I would strongly encourage you to use the well-trained support team as opposed to Bill for support questions. Getting a lot of fire emoji for NFTs. Super excited about that. And people asking me about the price. Let me finish the Q&A. We'll think about maybe sticking around for a price discussion, but I want to make sure those of you with questions get them out of the way. Let's see. Look, I'm not going to get into a back and forth on the roadmap. We have a very strong roadmap at Abra. We have a very strong roadmap for our direction for Abra Perks. We're looking forward to sharing more of it with you in the coming weeks. We've been very careful about not sharing early because we want to make sure we get it right. We're looking at the tiers, we're looking at the payouts, we're looking at how airdrops work, we're looking at lockups for rewards so that we're not flooding the market with CPRX. All of these things are on the table, they're in the roadmap. We're actively finalizing all of this stuff. So those of you basically questioning whether or not there's a viable roadmap here, I can assure you that there is. Yes, CPRX Army, please use that hashtag and be polite. I'm going to say it again. These are our friends. These are our peers in the space. We want to embrace them, group hug. We don't want to, alienate ourselves, but tell them, hey, please list CPRX on your exchange. I can tell you it's worked with me. Those of you on this chat, you've hounded me over the years in a polite way. List Digibyte, list this token, list that token. And after a while, we look into it. And in many cases, it works. Not always, but sometimes it works. And I think in this case, given how strong the utility here is and how powerful the CPRX Army is, I think it will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know talking to some of the exchange execs yesterday, some of them made comments on how they've seen an incredible increase in the volume of CPRX mentions on social media recently. So people are definitely noticing, guys.
Yep. Yeah. And so some of you are asking where you can see the white papers that I'm referring to. The Crypto Perks website, I think it's cryptoperks.com, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, cryptoperks.com has this original CPRX white paper on it. If you go to abra.com and go to Abra Perks, I believe the Abra Perks white paper is there. That is Abra specific, that talks about our reward system for all of Abra, and that will be updated for, let's call it I don't know what version, 1.1, 2.0, whatever we call it in the coming weeks. So we'll publish that as well. But you can see the original vision. Anyway, so it's all out there for you to find. I'm seeing a lot of questions here that we've already answered, so this is great. By the way, hundreds of posts. So I'm looking at this across our YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter live streams. So lots of questions coming in. We've already addressed most of the questions that I'm seeing. Let me address one question, which is not Abra specific, which I think is really important. Somebody asked what my take is on this whole synthetic ETH discounts to ETH going on, and FUD with some of our competitors, potential liquidations. Okay, so for those of you not aware, synthetic ETH, it goes under the moniker STETH, is basically a wrapped Ethereum token that makes staked ETH liquid. Let me explain what that means. When you stake ETH to get the rewards in ETH 2.0, which we will also be supporting as we talked about earlier, you're actually locking up your Ethereum. So you don't have access to your Ethereum. And in theory, you will get access to the Ethereum again once the merge happens. And by the way, there was big news about the merge last week. The test merge was successful. So synthetic ETH or STETH tries to address this problem of your ETH being locked up by giving you a separate token that maps one-to-one with the ETH you have. Okay, and it has a peg to ETH. All right, we have a small amount of it. It's not a meaningful a portion of Abra Earn or our balance sheets, but some of our competitors apparently are holding very, very, very large positions in this synthetic ETH, and the peg on exchanges has not been one-to-one. just like the peg on exchanges for stablecoins is often not one-to-one. And you may say to yourself, well, wait a minute. If there's $100 in a bank account representing $100 of USDC and $100 in a bank account representing $100 of Tether, why do they fluctuate on an exchange? Well, the exchange doesn't represent the actual value of the asset held in custody. It represents the value to all of you on a relative basis based on supply and demand. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with the amount of cash held in the bank. Just like the ST ETH price has nothing to do with the amount of ETH held in a vault. Okay, so hopefully it's a relatively simple concept. So hopefully it makes sense. And so the trust here is in this idea that the ETH is there, that they say is there, and it's not going anywhere, and it's going to be there. All right. It's possible that the peg goes to zero. That doesn't mean that the ETH is gone. So hopefully that makes sense. It's not a synthetic asset in the sense of Luna. It's just a way of wrapping Ethereum to make it liquid while it's staked. Okay. So I can't speak to our competitors. A couple of our competitors have been absolutely hammered on Twitter and lately. And I honestly don't have enough time in the day to dig into what's valid, what's not valid. Honestly, I hope a lot of it's not valid. And if it is, it's not good, but that's, that's them. We have very different risk management processes. I don't see any long-term adverse effect from anything related to ST ETH on the crypto space. The ETH seems to be there is the bottom line. And that's what matters. That just like if you're holding USDC, the dollars are there in the bank account. If you're holding True USD, the dollars are there in the bank account. If you're holding BUSD from Binance, they use Paxos, which is audited. The dollars are there in the bank account. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. We're now over an hour for what was supposed to be a shorter 40-minute show. So we're going to stop there. I'm not going to do much on price today. I think we're in a recession. I think we're in risk off mode. I think we'll recover. I think the next run up is 15x. We'll get into it on the next couple of shows in more detail. I'm still buying the dips. There's a lot more dips to buy, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We'll get into it another time. Julian, Deepak, thank you both. This was awesome.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep rocking it, CPRX Army.
Yep, absolutely. Well done to you both. Thank you. And thanks to the Abra team, the sales team, the product team, the marketing team, finance team. We got to show off a lot of what you guys are doing behind the curtains this week. And there was a lot of excitement for it. So special thanks goes to all of the team working super hard behind the curtains. Keep your comments coming. We read them. If you like what you see, if you don't like what you see, if you have suggestions, go to the stream on Twitter, Facebook, where you can still comment afterwards and post comments. Tell us what you want to see. We read them. I promise you, we read them. We actually repost them internally on our Slack channels inside of Abra. We talk about your feedback. So the more feedback you give us, the more we have to talk about. Okay. All right. Have a great weekend and we will see you soon. And signing off from Austin, Texas. Take care, everyone.